I became the director of the AIDS program here in Catalonia in 1990, a long time ago. And I think we started working with the community for the very first time in the country. At that time was with Stop SIDA, an NGO which still work very closely. We met AIDS Action Europe while implementing the European projects on testing. The first one was Euroedad, which started in 2009, a long time ago, and then it became HIV, and then we created Ky. So in this process, we met different different people from AIDS Action Europe. AIDS Action Europe started 20 years ago. That means 2004, isn't it? The strongest I have is much more clear, because for a while, you may remember that, for a while, once the Ky network, which is the community-based testing network of Europe, which was created in 2009, in the beginning of the European project, after a while, we tried to approach the civil society for two reasons. One, to formally include the civil society in the organization or in the structure or the dynamics of the network. And secondly, to have a more solid administrative network for the project itself. And I remember very well that we went to the offices of AIDS Action in Berlin. And we met a couple of times, and we made a couple of presentations, basically with Michael Krohn, who at that time was the manager of the organization. And I was quite impressed. The very first one didn't work very well. But apart from that, I was very impressed for the professionality, for the kindness, for the openness, for the values that was the organization translating. And therefore, we insisted in the good part of the strategic alliance until at the end we were able to consolidate it. And that's why we are very happy. When this project started back in 2009, community testing as a concept was not so consolidated as it is nowadays, on one part. And on the other, the actors, both, I would say, the community and also in many academia sectors, were still much more disgregated than they are now. So honestly, coming from the academia and the public health field, we decided to work with the community with this particular project. It was quite difficult to understand who was who in the community. There are so many actors, so many organizations, so many networks. It was a kind of some competition between networks to become one of the relevant one. European money was starting to appear targeted to the community. So it was a very unsteady situation. And I think slowly during all this process, particularly during the last 5-6 years, the scope has been clarified itself. And AIDS Action Europe has become clearly one of the reference organizations with the capacity of putting people together, not only from the community, but as an example, with our project, the Ky, with the academia and public health organizations. And I think that has been crucial because it was difficult for everyone. It was difficult for the funding organizations. It was difficult when implementing projects. So to have a framework in which an organization from a very respectful point of view, but very technical and professional and very clear values towards the community and the LGTB community in particular, I think it has been very helpful to put in the agenda what we call community research, participatory community research towards the action. And for me, that's more important. The biggest contribution of Age Action Europe in the European scenario has been this capacity from a very well-defined values and technical capacities to put together different peoples. No? And I think usually that's a long-term process. And as you know, Covates has been an example that it took almost more than 10 years to be consolidated within this interdisciplinary approach. No? So I think this is the path. It will be great if Age Action Europe can continue to put together efforts to increase the scope of the health problems. I don't want to talk about diseases, of health issues and health problems, taking in particularly account the more vulnerable populations, not only in terms of LGTB, but also in terms of more vulnerable populations that are coming to Europe, like the migrants, no? Which I think is a very important problem, and not independent of other vulnerable populations. So I would say that if Age Action Europe has the resiliency capacity to adapt to the new challenges that we are facing in Europe, both politically and economically, and can continue to be a place where to meet different disciplines towards the same objective, that will be great, because otherwise we are just disaggregating efforts and underusing the few resources that we have. It's not easy. I think AIDS field is a field with a lot of inertia, with a lot of figures, with a lot of pressure also from some funders like the industry, and therefore to find the equilibrium between these actors, at the same time working with them, because we should do that, but without losing the view of the original values of working for the community from a pure uncompromised technical approach. I think it's that will be great. I used to say that I have 3 projects that have taken me more surface of my coronary in terms of stress. One is the local one, a cohort. The other one is a very nice and rewardable intervention we did in Guatemala during 14 years. And the third one is the Covates project. I think the Covates project took, for me and my colleagues, a lot of effort. For a while, it was very stressful. I have described before the situation at the beginning, much more difficult to work than is now. So we put a lot of energy of it. But to know that now there is a network of community-based testing centers run by the community, with the community, but also with technical groups, is one of the things that has made me more happy. Because at the local level, we started, as you know, kind of a small Covates. But it has been very difficult to consolidate with institutions, with public health agencies. It's not easy. You know the South more than me, and therefore we have special handicaps. But being able to put that together at the European level and doing it with an organization like Age Action Europe, I think it has been extremely rewarding for the time that we have spent for this project. And as I said before, one of the more important, strong, happy moments were in Berlin. We agree that we can join efforts and work together and ask for a new project to the European community, which at the end ended up very well. So I think was one of the more happiest and professionally rewarding moments, both at the professional and personal level. Well, 20 years is a lot. So first of all, congratulations, all the team, the current team, but also all the people who passed through the organizations. We know that these organizations are built up with efforts from many, many different people across time, and we should acknowledge all the people who contributed in the past. So what we see now is the result of all these efforts. After the 20th anniversary, it came the 25, which is much more symbolic, if you want. But I'm sure Age Action Europe will be in the first line in 5 years from now. And I really wish that the organization could be there, adapted to the new scenarios that we'll be facing, and not only to 25, but many years to come. So many hugs to everyone. Happy birthday. Muchas felicidades i moltes felicitats i que per molts anys puguem seguir treballant junts en aquest compromís tan rewarding que és treballar per la comunitat amb VIH i altres problemes relacionats.